Hi everyone, you're welcome to my professor note. This is Bhupesh Sharma. This is our third class under the course of UGC NET English complete course. Right here, we will be covering the age of Chaucer from the UGC NET exam perspective, and this is a very important perspective that I want all of you, to take into consideration. That when you start preparing for the UGC NET exam, you're completely bewildered, you're completely confused, you do not know what to read, how much should I read in this particular work or in this particular author, where should I stop, what should be my approach. That is a very important thing. Otherwise you will just keep reading. It's completing the English literature is a Herculean task, it's a very big task. So how to know that approach, that how to prepare for UGC NET exam, right? That you will got to know only by going through the previous year's question paper, because we have to read English literature in the context of UGC NET exam. Whenever we are in our life, right now I'm here, I have to talk in the context of UGC NET English literature. If I start discussing something which is not connected with this subject, you will find this irrelevant. Okay, so that is the same thing when we start preparing for UGC NET English literature exam. We have to read in the context of the UGC NET English literature, not in the context of English literature, but in the context of UGC NET, right? What UGC NET want us to know. So in this age, we will be covering exactly that. Okay, and one more thing that all of you should know, that my professor note, which is my platform, we provide you here the exam oriented study material, complete preparation roadmap, the mentorship program where I assist you every single day in completing your task which is necessary to complete in order to complete our syllabus within a given time. I'll be assessing your preparation to make sure we are exam ready before appearing into our exam. I make sure that we have revised every single thing. I make sure that all the concepts are clear for us and we have completed the syllabus which is needed to be complete. Alright, so now in age of Chaucer, there are the certain areas. What are those areas? The very first thing is the events of the age. So without any further delay, I will directly jump on those concepts only. Here we have three events which took place, right? The very first event is the Black Death. The sum of the nuances of these events I had already shared in the previous video, but it becomes very important to discuss them here in order to have a clear picture. Black Death, also known as a bubonic plague, which is caused by rats, because when you have the plague, as a result you have these black patches on your skin, and that is the reason it is called as the Black Death, which took place in the England for the first time in the 1348, then in the 62, then in the 67, and then in the 70, and swept almost half of the population of the England, right? That is the very first event you have to keep in your mind, that it affected its wealth, health, just everything almost shattered down in England. They have really shaken its walls, its very fundamentals, which took England time to recover. The second thing we have here is the peasant revolt, which is also known as a Great Rising, because in a great number of people rise against the King Richard II, because they were imposing the heavy tax on these peasants, on the people of England, in order to support the 100 Years of War, right? And that's what happened here. And the second thing, it is known as the Wat Tyler revolt as well. Wat Tyler revolt means that Wat Tyler was a person who was leading this revolt, right? That is the another thing we have to keep in your mind. And this war, for what they have imposed this heavy tax on these peasants, that almost drained just everything of England, its wealth almost drained due to this war, which they lost from France. That is our third event. It took place in the 1381. The third event which took place in the 100 Years' War between England and FRA France, and France won the war. I have discussed the cause with you in the previous class, that how they both get into war. Maybe that is not even important to know from exam perspective. Even then I have discussed that with you. And now these are the this is how the age of England is. This is what is happening here, and this war took place in which age? What is the time period? 1337 to 1453. That is the time of this war. And during this time period, the Chaucer also took birth, and sometime this age of Chaucer is dated between the 1340 to 1400, or sometime as well from 1450 as well, because during this time period, this 50 year, we didn't get to see a much change. Right? In this period, we didn't get to see much change. So sometime it is extended 50 years ahead as well. This title of age is extended sometime, right? That is the reason. And you will find, sir, now you have made us confused. What is the exact date? Look, different books have different dates. You will not be asked questions on this. If there any time in the viva or somebody asking you a verbal question, so you can say, sir, the age is dated between the 1314 to 1400, or you can also say, sir, the date is also dated from the 1314 to the 1450, right? It will not create any fuss or any problem, right? So these are the three events that you have to take into consideration. Okay, now what is the second thing in this age that we have to keep in our mind? The language aspect of it, right? The language aspect of it. Now, the second thing I said, the work, but prior to that is the language aspect. What is that? So as I said that almost 10,000 words were drawn from the French language into the English language, which become the integral part of it. Now the second thing we have to know is that during this age, it was a three language nation. That is the Latin, that is the French, and that is the English. English was a language of a common people, and French was the language, it was an official language. So it was there in the schools and in the court as well. And the Latin was a language of the clergy. Your Bible was in the Latin language, so common people has a problem to read it. Now they have to follow the instruction of these priest and pope, whatever they will say. They become corrupted because these people do not know the Latin language. They do not know what is written in the Bible. So they will make them do anything. They will ask them for money, because Jesus have said if you commit such a sin, you have to pay money for that, right? That's what they have said to them. And their luxurious life, their luscious life that they were living, their lavish life that they were living, that's something which sprouted that stem up the doubt in the mind of the common people that there's something wrong going on. That how can these people live such a lavish life? They are religious people. This much sense everyone has, right? If you're a religious person, you have to be calm, you have to be humble. You cannot be grandiose in your appearance, right? So that's what they get to see. But here, what we have to take into consideration, what we have to know, that the French language was replaced by the English in the 1362, and French language was replaced in schools in the 1386. These are the two very important dates. Now, what else happened in the field of language? The Chaucer, he took up the East Midland dialect. East Midland dialect to write his work. So East Midland dialect is the English language dialect. and later on this is the dialect which we have today as a full-fledged English language, right? So this is the dialect he used for the English that we use today. Why? What was the main reason? Because this dialect was being spoken in the London, which was the center of trade and commerce and the culture and the writing back then, right? So the rich culture, language or dialect were used for the writing by him. Why? Because he was a courtly person. He was a courtly person. Courtly person. He was born in a very, in a fairly well-to-do family. Had the advantage to get the liberal education, advanced liberal education, had a good contacts with the people of a high class. That is the reason that at the age of 17, he became the page, the personal assistant, you can say, of the Queen, who is the daughter-in-law of the Edward III. He became her page. And he was a diplomat. He was ambassador of England to the France and Italy. He was managing the international affair the way you Subramaniam Jaishankar do. Not comparable, both of them. But just to give you a hint that what does ambassador actually do, they manage the international affairs with the other countries on the world stage, and that's what Chaucer was doing. This is what we have to know about the language here. And this East Midland dialect was taken, which was later converted into the full-fledged English language that we are speaking today. And that is the only significant task he has done. Besides this, I don't think so that there is something significant about Chaucer, because he did not discuss about the religious movement, the other protests which were there, like the peasant revolt. He did not talk about any of these things because he was a courtly poet. He was not the poet of the common people. So that is the reason I don't find him doing something great for society, adding some value, changing the situation of people, making them more aware, more alert. The task that a writer do as a writer, they have to give them some knowledge in order to deal with such a situation. So he was simply writing about the fictional work. He was a courtly writer. The only thing he did that he started writing in the English language. When you start write something in your own language, people feel motivated, because they can read about their nation now, because they can read about their culture now. Before that, prior to that, we do not have any literary work to read. Now, how to read that? What to know? How to gain the knowledge? But he did something. He provided you a literature in your language. So now the nationhood, the nationalism was rising in the people of the England, and it led to a new movement, right? This is something we need to know. All right, so I told you something about Chaucer, that he was born in a fairly well-to-do family. His father was a wine merchant. Another thing you have to know, that he lived during the three kings rules. Three kings ruled during his time period. When he was born, it was Edward III, who was the king of London, who was the king of England. And in 1377, when the Lancastrian house was thrown out from the power, and your Chaucer ended at the edge of poverty, because now there is no one to patronize him, nobody to pay him. John of Gaunt, his friend, was also out of power. Richard II came into power then, and for being obsequious, showing some chaplaincy to Richard II, he also wrote this work of the Parliament of Fools, right? Parliament of Fools. It was devoted to the Richard II on his marriage to the Anne of Bohemia. Anne of Bohemia. They were both getting married, and for that occasion he wrote this work called the Richard of the Parliament of Fools, right? This is the work which he has written in the English language. Okay, we will discuss about this work later on in this video. So this is the second king we have during his time period. The third one is the Henry IV, who ascended to the throne 1 year before his death, right? So these are the three kings. You also have to know, because this is from where we also get the question. So now almost we have known that what was the age like, what was happening in the age, who was the king. Now this is time to discuss the works. Here we have predominantly, here we have 4 to 5 writers. We have Chaucer, his contemporary John Gower, who mostly write about French, Latin, and then lastly in English. Then we have the William Langland, we have the Pearl's poet. Then we have your Thomas Hockley and the John Lydgate, who are the minor writers of the age and influenced by the successors of the Chaucer. And we have the Wycliffe and the John of Mandeville. These are the 2 prose writers we have in this age. So Chaucer's whole time period is divided into the 3 periods. One is the French. During this time we get to see the influence of the French writers in his writing. During this period he wrote Raymond de la Rose, I think this is the French spelling. Maybe I'm not writing in the French, but in English it says Romance of the Rose. Romance of Rose, that is the name, and this is the French work he has written. Now another work he has written is during this time period is the Book of Duchess, which is a very important work. Book of Duchess. Book of Duchess was an elegy which was written on the death of Blanche. She is the wife of his friend John Gaunt. So in order to commemorate her death and to console his bereaved friend who is in a pain, he wrote this elegy, Book of Duchess, on the death of the Blanche. This is what you have to remember. Another work here we have during this period is the Complaint of Pity. Is the 3rd work he has written under this period of French. So you have to remember these works as well. To go deeper into these works, just what is the structure of these works and all. Sometimes these details are also asked. But almost what I have given you, this is all what we need to know, because that much importance is not given to these works in the exam. But well, as you will be referring to my notes, to my study material, you will be enrolling to my mentorship program where I'll be making you prepare for your UGC NET English Literature examination. The same way I got my JRF, I will be getting it for you too. Alright, now this is the period of a Latin now. This is the Latin period now. During the Latin period, the work he has written is we have the influence of Boccaccio, we have the Ovid's Metamorphoses, we have the influence of the Virgil's Aeneid, we have the influence of the Dante's Divine Comedy. These are the writers of the excellent writers, the very famous writers of the Italian age, of Italy, and they have the influence on his work in this period. So the work he has written is the Troilus and Cressida. Troilus and Cressida. So what happens here? The Troilus is fighting in the Trojan War. This is the Trojan War story. So Troilus was fighting in the Trojan War, and Cressida fell in love with the Diomedes. Maybe I'm writing the spelling of the Diomedes wrong here, not sure, but this is how his spelling was. Diomedes. Another person. Troilus is in love with Cressida. He is imprisoned. He's fighting in the Trojan War. He died, and she was having an affair with this Diomedes. Here, women are shown as unfaithful in this work. They are shown as unfaithful to the men. For writing this work, he was reprimanded by the god of love. Who? Chaucer. That how could you show women as unfaithful? Now he reprimanded him. He punished him. Then Alceste, the wife of the god of love, Alceste, came to save him from the wrath of the god of love. And as a penance, she told him to write the work on the faithful women who are betrayed by the false man, by the unfaithful men this time. write about the faithful women now. And then he wrote the legend of good women. He wrote the legend of good woman. For the first time, heroic couplet was used here. For the first time, heroic couplet was used here. This poem was written in the heroic couplet, where both of the lines rhyme. Tin tin, shin shin, kin kin. They have the last feet. The last syllable has the same rhyme of the both of the lines, right? Divided into two lines. So this is how you write the heroic couplets. Okay. So here we have the 9 legends about what he has written, and the best legend is the Thisbe. The best woman is here is the Thisbe, and this is the another work of the Italian period. The another work of this period of Italian period is the House of Fame. To cover the work of his Canterbury Tales, we have to make another whole video. We have to make a whole video to cover the Canterbury Tales, right? To cover this work, we have to make another video. I have to record this because it will not be possible to. We have here the 29 characters. Almost 30 of them is telling the tales. Not 30 here, but the 30 characters are supposed to tell the tale. Even though we have here only 22 pilgrims who are telling the tale. Right, 24 tales are in all are being told. So we have to discuss all of those 24 tales, those 22, and the characteristics of these 31 characters I have to give you in order to have a better idea of this of these Canterbury Tales. So we will record a separate video. Right, we will record a lecture on the Canterbury Tales in a separate video. Right, and the third work in the Latin period we have is the House of Fame. House of who? Fame. Fame is a goddess, and whosoever coming to her house, she is distributing the fame and infame to the group of people. That's what is happening here. So this is a dream vision. This is what? This is a dream vision. Here the Chaucer is having a dream that he is in the temple of glass, and the temple of the Venus, the god Venus. When he comes out of the temple, he is caught and lifted up by the golden winged eagle, who is sent by the Jove, who seek to reward the Chaucer for his devotion to the god Venus. And now both of them flew up high in the sky, and he is being taken to the House of Fame. Now House of Fame is built on the top of this massive rock of ice. On this rock there are the name of the famous people engraved. Now some of the name has melted away because they are not under the shadow of this house which is built upon this rock. He entered the house. There he saw the goddess Fame. She is distributing the fame and infame. किसी को बदनामी मिल रही है, किसी को विख्याति प्रदान की जा रही है. This is what he see there inside the house. And this poem ended with the entry of a man who remained mystery or unnamed when this poem ended. So what you have to know is this is a dream vision. The Fame, the goddess, golden winged eagle lifted him up to the sky and take him to the House of Fame, which is built on the ice rock. Right, that's what you have to remember here. And it is written in the octosyllabic rhyme. Now octosyllabic are your feet, right? So it is the octosyllabic couplets, or I'm not sure, but it was in the octosyllabic. Octosyllabic have your 8 feet. One feet is made of 2 syllables. Syllabus means the sound e u. Sound of here may be the cat and cat not, right? These are the 2 syllables because they sound differently. We have the 2 vowel sounds, different vowel sound. So they are the 2 syllables, and when they come together they make a one feet, right? And this is how we have here 8 feet, and that's what makes it the octosyllabic, right? So it was written in this syllable. This is what the structure of this poem, this is how it was being written. Sometime we also have the questions of this kind. So it was written the octosyllabic heroic couplet. Because most of his poems are written in the heroic couplet only. All right. If there's anything, any point, any fact I'm missing, I will mention it in the comment section below. Okay. So that's what you have to remember here. Now let's discuss his English period. Now let's discuss about his English period. One thing always you have to keep in mind when you read any work of literature, two things you have to keep in mind. The very first, you have to make sure what the work is. Its concept should be clear to you. As I know that what is a house of fame? The fame is a goddess. It is being discussed about that only. He's talking about the goddess house, where people are coming and she is distributing the fame and infame. Where it is, whatever discussed there, I give you everything. That is the clarity of concept. Now comes the factual details, in which rhyme, which syllable these poems are being written. That is the factual details. So that you have to revise it again and again. Write them down, right? Put a poster on your wall and read it, see it every single day. And this is how you will be able to recall it. This is how you will be able to revise it or remember it. Okay. Now we have the English period. In English period, he wrote the Parliament of Fools. Parliament of Fools. So Parliament of Fools is the English period, and this is for the very first time we see the reference of the Valentine days in connection to the Lovers' Day. For the first time, the Saint Valentine's Day is associated here with the Lovers' Day in the Parliament of Fools. The Saint Valentine is the Roman saint who was died on the 14th February, and since then that 14th February is commemorated as the feast of Saint Valentine, but he associated it here with the day of the lover, and since then we celebrate the Valentine's Day, the day a lover approach or propose their beloved, right? So on this day there is a gathering again, where it is in the temple of Venus. The nature is here doing a gathering, calling a parliament of the birds. These birds have gathered there to choose their own mate, right? The female eagle they have to choose there. This is why they have gathered over there, but none of them won the female eagle, right? This is what happened here in the Parliament of Fool, and it is a dream vision. The narrator here is trying to learn something, and he took up the book of Cicero, but he fell down, he slept, and then when he woke up, when he came out of the dream, he's still unsatisfied and want to learn something else. And this is how this poem started. The narrator is trying to learn something, and when it ended, still the narrator seems unsatisfied because he has not learned what he wants to learn. So there is a will, there is a desire to learn something, which is being shown in this poem. This is what your Parliament of Foul is, and it is a dream vision. It is a dream vision, and it was written in as a tribute to the Richard II on the occasion of his marriage to the Anne of Bohemia, right? That's what this work is all about. Now another work we have here is the Canterbury Tales, on what we will be doing a separate lecture. But let me tell you that how this work began. He intended to write the 124 tales. Here we have the 31 characters all. One is the host only, so he will not be telling any tale. Only 30 character will be telling the tale. 29 pilgrims. Here the 30th we have the Chaucer, so we are also counting him in the pilgrims. Then the 31st is the Harebelle. He is the, I'm not sure what was the spelling, it was H-A-I-R-Y, Harebelle. This is, I think, was a spelling of Harebelle, or it was a belly, something of this kind. You can check the spelling of Harebelle, right? The spelling will not obviously be asked, but Harebelle, even from sound you can remember, right? So 31 character we have here. So all of them are going to the shrine of Thomas Becket to Canterbury, and all of them will be telling a tale. Everyone will tell the 4 tales, 2 while going to the shrine and 2 while returning, and they all have gathered on the in the Tabard Inn, where they are waiting for the other members, other pilgrims who will be going on the pilgrimage of the Thomas Becket, right? And this is how this whole poem, the story begin. Here we have some of very revolutionary women characters discussed, like a wife of Bath, nun prioress, and we have here the 3 female characters, and beside this we have here the male characters only, right? So Knight is the first one who tells the tale. These are the very objective details that I'll be giving you in the separate video that we will make on it. So these are the very few things. Even though I have made a short on the Canterbury Tale, I have also made a video on it already. It was a PPT video. I will give its link below in the description box, and very easily you will be able to know that what is being discussed in these tales. Even though I have discussed all the tales which are being told by these all of these 22 pilgrims, so I will attach the link of that video below in the description box, because all are the factual details. How many characters, how many tales, 20, the all tales are being told are the 24 here, right? 24, 22 in the verse, 2 tale in the prose, right? So every single detail I have mentioned into that video. I want you to check that. Even a short I will attach where I have shared what this Canterbury Tale is about, right? It's a very humongous work. It is the magnum opus of the Chaucer. Okay, so don't think that I have given you very little information on it, because I have already made a separate video on it, and I will also be making a new video on it by taking into the consideration all the questions which were asked from this poem, and on that way we will form this lecture on the Canterbury Tales. Now comes the other writers. The John Gower. He was the contemporary of the Chaucer, right? He was called the moral Gower by the Chaucer. He was his friend, so he called him moral Gower. Now, not Gower, right? Now he wrote the 3 works. The very first one is the Mirror de l'Homme. This is a French work. It means mirror of mankind. This is a work he has written in the French language. This is what you have to remember. Another work is the Vox Clementis, not the Vox Clementis. Another work he has written is the Voice of One Crying Out. It is written in the Latin language. Its Latin name I just forgot. It started with the Vox. It has a Latin language. It is the translation of that Latin language into English. So it was written in the Latin language, and it is the account of the it is a vivid account. It is a vivid depiction of the peasant revolt. Means किसान विद्रोह का मार्मिक चित्रण इस पोम में किया गया है, राइट? कब हुआ था आपका किसान विद्रोह? In 1381. Peasant revolt took place in the 1381, and he wrote a poem on this. The Vox Clementis. It was of this kind, I think the name Vox Clementis, right? Yeah, Vox Clementis, right? The Voice of One Crying Out, written in the Latin language in the 1381. Now, the last work which he wrote in the Confession of the Lover, Confessio Amentis, Amentis, Confessio Amentis. He wrote in English, which means the confession of the lover. To whom he doing the confession? To priest. What is the name of the priest? Genius. What is the name of the lover? Amans. That's what you have to remember here. Written in the language, English language. So he wrote poems in the three languages: French, Italian and English. John Gower, the contemporary of Chaucer. Now we come to this another poet which is very famous during this age, William Langland. He wrote the Pious Plowman. Who is Pious here? Pious is the Jesus here. Who is the narrator in this poem? Will. He is sleeping on the Melbourne Hill. Melbourne Hills. That's when he has his first vision. Right? So there are the folks gathered around the Will on the Melbourne Hills. They're having the vision. In this poem, it is a satire on the corrupt clergy. Corrupt clergy. It is a satire on the corrupt clergy. Who wrote this? William Langland. The allegorical character we have in this poem is do bet, do better, do bet, do well, do best, do best, do well, do better, do best, do well, do best, do well, yeah, do well, sorry, do well, do bet, do best. These are the three names. Hey Bhagwan. Do well, do better, do best. Three allegorical characters we have here in this poem, right? And it is a satire on the corrupt clergy, written by the William Langland, Pious Plowman. Narrator is a Will. Melbourne Hills is the place where this poem, the first vision, opens. Here they also discussed about the 7 deadly sins. 7 deadly sins. Write down the 7 deadly sins in the comment section if you have reached to this very end of this video. Right. So this was the third poem. The third contemporary poem, the third contemporary of the Chaucer, and this is the poem of William Langland. Now beside this, who's another one very famous poet of this era? Who we have? Not the poet, but another writer, that is a prose writer. Who is that? That is the John Wycliffe. He is the morning star of the English Reformation period. He is the founder of the Lollard movement. Lollard movement was against the corrupt clergy, right? They focused on reading the scripture rather than going to the Catholic Church where your corrupt clergy is living, right? So now what he did, he translated the Vulgate's novel, Your Gospel, which was written in the Latin language into the English, and he was able to complete that task, I think around 1381, if I'm not wrong, 1381, around that he was able to write the Bible into the English language and make it and made it accessible to the common people, so they can know that what is Jesus actually saying, right? So 1381, he completed that work of translating the Bible from Latin to the English. That's what he did. John Wycliffe, what he did, founder of Lollard movement, called the morning star of the English Reformation, and also the father of prose. This is a prose work, right? We don't have any rhymes here. He had written an essay like work where you have, you do not have any rhymes. It is not a work of fiction. It is a non-fictional work, right? So it is called the prose work, and he is also called the father of English prose. The another prose work we have here by the John Mandeville. Mandeville wrote the Travels of John Mandeville. Travels of John Mandeville. Travels of John Mandeville. That is the another prose work of this age, and he is the one of the minor writer of the age. Okay, then we have another writer we have here is the Thomas Hockleve. Who? Thomas Hockleve. I hope the spelling is right. Thomas Hockleve. He wrote the Regiment of Princes. Is a famous work that he has written. Regiment of Princes, and he called the Chaucer his master. M-A-I-S-T-E-R, master. He called him master. He paid tribute in his work to the Chaucer. Another follower, successor of the Chaucer is the John Lydgate. Fall of Princes he wrote. Fall of Princes he wrote. Fall of Princes he wrote. He wrote the Siege of Thebes. Siege of Thebes is the response to the Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Right. Another work he wrote is the Book of Troy. Book of Troy. Now, Book of Troy is the first book in England to be printed in English. First English book to be printed in England. Book of Troy. When? In 1474. Who did this? William Caxton. William Caxton did this. William Caxton did this. He is the one who brought the printing to the England. So these are the works. How many writers we have discussed here? Chaucer, John Wycliffe, John Gower, William Langland, Thomas Hockleve, John Mandeville. 6 writers we discussed here, right? Yeah, 6 writers, almost 7 writers. Chaucer, John Gower, William Langland. One of the main work I missed is the Pearl's Poet. Pearl's Poet. How can I miss that work? That is a very significant work of this age. Can't be ignored. Can't be ignored. I don't think so that there is any one of you who have remained till the very end of this video. If still you are watching this video, still to this very end, please let me know. Sir, I am watching. Right, in the comment section. And now, Pearl's Poet. Pearl's Poet. Pearl's Poet wrote what? Sir Gawain and Green Knight. Green Knight. This is a work. Now here what happened? Sir Gawain is the knight of the King Arthur. One of the knight of the King Arthur. Right? So now what happens here? That Green Knight came and asked and challenged the knight there and said that if there is anyone who can hit him with the axe, only if they can take the blow back, he will also be hitting them back after a year and a day. Right now you hit me with the axe, and if you are ready to take the blow back after a year and a day. Sir Gawain came forward, he cut his neck with the axe. Green Knight picked up his neck and asked him that be ready, after a day, after a year and a day, I'll be back, and that will be your chance to drop your neck on the floor. Then what did Sir Gawain could have said? Whatever. Obviously not. So this is what the work is. Trying to be a bit funny towards the very end of this video. I don't know how much successful I have been in this endeavor of making you laugh with my silly joke. Right? Sir Gawain and Green Knight. So that's what has a Pearl's Poet wrote. We don't know the exact name of it. He's an anonymous poet. So this is how we have ended this lecture or this video, which is about 3rd class age of Chaucer. I hope you have learned something. If still watching, let me know, sir. We have watched this video till the very end. I'll be very happy to know that. And I will try to make much more better videos. I know this is obviously a good video, but obviously I'll be putting much more efforts. So thanks for watching. Soon we'll be back with the 4th class, where we'll be discussing about the age of revival. and obviously your Canterbury Tales video I'll make, even though I have made it. I will attach the link below in the description box. So very soon we'll be back with another one. Till then time, this is Bhupesh Sharma signing off.